So I have recently been getting blown up by all these guys sending me the same viral video, talking about how karate really isn't an ancient Japanese martial art. And I'm like, guys, I know. So on this video, Strike Team Official, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about this particular viral video and how everything in this video, for the most part, is pretty accurate. However, certain things are phrased in such a way that without context, without actually knowing the history, it's led a couple of my friends who have been DMing me to have the wrong idea about karate's history. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm actually gonna clarify a lot of stuff in this viral video and explain what he really means.
Someone made Kung Fu, someone made karate.
And it became a construct in itself.
As an official member of the Japanese party, I have to tell you guys the truth about karate. It's propaganda. That's not an ancient martial art in Japan at all. Boxing came to Japan before karate did.
Is that for real?
Jack Dempsey was popular, bro. Like, everybody was boxing.
So let's start at the beginning. First, he says that karate isn't really an ancient Japanese martial art, and that boxing was in Japan before karate was. And this is 100% absolutely true. I've actually talked about this in multiple other videos. Just a video I did like 2 months ago, I talked about this. But the main key factor is the term Japanese. Karate is an ancient martial art. However, it is from the Ryukyu Islands, or what is now known as Okinawa. And in I believe it was around 1918 is when it started moving from Okinawa and actually going into mainland Japan. So while what he's saying is technically correct for Japan, it's not correct for the martial art itself. Karate is hundreds of years old, just not for Japan.
Judo, jiu-jitsu, everyone did, because that was just something you did at school, everyone learned. Karate,
Stem from like Okinawa, right?
yeah, but Okinawans aren't Japanese. They're like their own people. At the time, Japan was kind of being like Nazis, right? They're like, we can't have this white being popular in Japan. They don't want anything American. We need to have our own striking sport that isn't white. And then they found Okinawans doing this shit.
It's very true that Japan has a very nationalistic vibe. They're very much almost a straight isolationist country. Even to this day, they are not super into, integrating other cultural things into Japan. And so it's true that while boxing is still to this day hyper popular, one of the best boxers in the world is the Japanese right now, they wanted something of their own. And because Okinawa was, at this point under the control of Japan, it gave a great opportunity to take this Okinawan martial art and claim it as their own. Because, and this also had a deep effect on what actually became karate in the future and how we view karate now. Because the truth of the matter is, karate originally was more of a grappling art, or at least I'll say a stand-up clinch grappling throwing art with punches. Like the punches and kicks weren't as primary as they are now. But the reason everyone sees karate to this day as a punch and kick martial art is because when they were coming out trying to compete with boxing, they're like, okay, what do we need? We already have judo. That's grappling, right? We have kendo and all this other stuff for weapons. What we need is something to take out boxing. We need a punch and kick style. And so that is actually one of the reasons karate evolved into what it is today, was to compete with boxing for popularity in the school system and as a sport. And so this whole nationalistic fight against boxing actually helped mold the way karate is seen and functions as a martial art today.
Okinawans doing this shit. What do you call this shit? They go, it's called Chinese hands. Chinese hands? Well, we can't call it that. That's not gonna be very Japanese. They go empty-handed. Wow. Yeah, dude.
But what's interesting is this has also led to a very powerful mythos about how karate doesn't use weapons because it's empty hands. But notice how many karate schools train in Kobudo, or ancient weapons martial arts from Okinawa. Many times, for many of the older systems, these were the same, these were put together, right? Kobudo was trained in the karate school and is still trained in the karate school. So there's a strong theory that this whole separation, saying that karate never used weapons, is really not true. It's really just based on, that nationalistic need and the need to change the name from Chinese hands to empty hands. So that's a whole nother historical deep dive that maybe could be saved for another video. But yeah, again, what he's saying there is 100% facts. The very name of karate itself is Japanese propaganda.
That's not gonna be very Japanese. The father of judo made it into a system so you could turn it into a sport and teach it to the masses. And that's how Shotokan came to life.
Wow, okay.
Okay, now on this part, he is a little incorrect when he's talking about the founder of judo. In reality, it was Genshin Funakoshi, the man whose style would later become known as Shotokan Karate, who was actually the foremost karate practitioner who brought Okinawan karate to mainland and adapted it to the culture that mainland Japan wanted, that made karate what it is today, and sportified it closer to what you see now. Right? Now, to give credit where credit is due, he took a lot of inspiration from the founder of judo, from Kano. Right? He took a lot of inspiration from him. Our belt system from karate is from judo. Our gis is from judo. And it is the founder of judo who created that belt system, right? So, and also, you know, we're looking at judo as a sport, and he uses that to help adapt karate by really looking at what judo has done. So, while it wasn't the founder of judo who actually did it directly for karate, he was an extremely large influence in what karate later became. And this need to match the nationalization or the national idea of what Japan wanted karate to be is, in many people's opinion, especially those who focus on practical applications of karate, this is actually the point where karate started watering down, changing its techniques, and becoming less practical for the sake of trying to fit a niche sport that really didn't have that much to do with what karate originally was. Which is why when you look at Karate Kata, it looks nothing like how karate guys spar. Because point sparring and stuff like that was created to compete with boxing. It has nothing to do with the kata or the original ideas of what karate was before Japan pretty much brought it in to create a national sport. So this was actually the beginning of, in some ways you could say, the McDojo-fication of karate. But it is also the very reason that karate got super popular, and in many ways probably the only reason I know about karate to this day. So I have a love-hate relationship. So I have a love-hate relationship with it in general.
Oh, okay.
It's basically kung fu that went to Okinawa. A lot of Okinawans could also speak Chinese.
Chinese mouth too.
Chinese mouth. Chinese mouth.
That's a little crazy.
Then we can't call it that. That shit's closer to Taiwan than it is to Japan. They were their own kingdom. They're not even ethnically Japanese, right? So that's what people don't know about Okinawa.
Shit, they're not?
They're Ryukyuans. They're their own kingdom. How they survived is when Chinese people came, they'll be like, yo, here's tribute. Yeah, man, we're on the same team. We pay to you guys. When Japan came, they're like, yeah, man, we'll pay to you. We're Japanese, dude. That's how they survived.
Probably just mixed hell over the years.
Yeah, dude.
Now this part here is really funny as he talks about playing China and Japan against each other. One thing I noticed when I lived in Okinawa is that the architecture that's still there after World War II looks Chinese. All of it looks Chinese. It does not look very Japanese at all, if I'm being honest. The Okinawan Shuri Castle looks like a Chinese castle. It does not look Japanese at all. And so it's fair to say, honestly, that the Okinawans were definitely more influenced originally by China than they even were by Japan until later on. However, talking about the bouncing of China versus Japan, this is such a serious thing. There's actually a really interesting play that I went to back when I was teaching. One of my students was actually in a performance. She was one of the stars of this performance, and it's called, what is it called? It's called Hokuzan no Kaze. Okay, and this performance is about how when the Chinese and Japanese ambassadors arrive on Okinawa at the same time, how they have to distract each other so they don't ever see each other there at the same moment, because they are pretending to be vassals of both countries. So Okinawa is funny like that. It's also one of the things that made Okinawa such a serious trade hub. You know, it's a mix of many different cultures there in Okinawa. It's one of the reasons it was able to get all this influence of martial arts from both mainland Japan and China and everywhere else that it got these mixes of martial arts that makes Okinawa the place it is today. So, yeah, this video was very interesting. He was very on point. I do think that some people got some misunderstanding. Some people thought that this meant that, you know, karate was only like created in the 20s, when it is a ancient martial art, just not Japanese ancient. It's Okinawan ancient, which is what he was saying. But there was some miscommunication there with people. So yeah, there you go. Again, guys, please remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and see you next time. Peace.